Imagine working just as hard as you do now, but 5 years from today, you're still in debt, still anxious about money, still trading time for a paycheck that disappears by the end of the month. Now imagine a different path, where your bills are paid by assets that quietly send you money, even when you're not working. This video is about that shift, how to stop being a money employee and start becoming a money owner using the core lessons from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki isn't a get-rich-quick guide or a list of stock tips. It's really a mindset manual. Kiyosaki grew up listening to two fathers, one highly educated but broke, the other less educated but financially free. From them he learned that most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they were never taught how money actually works. Where you can have a degree, a good job, even a nice house, and still be one layoff away from disaster. Many people work hard for decades and arrive at retirement with a fragile pension and a pile of bills. This book matters because it explains why that happens and how to change course. If you can learn to think about money the way business owners and investors do, you give yourself options, more time, more security, and more control over your life. At its core, Rich Dad Poor Dad says this: true wealth comes from building assets that generate income, not from climbing a salary ladder. The rich focus on financial education and ownership, so their money works for them. Everyone else focuses on jobs and promotions, so they keep working for money. Once you see that difference, your goal changes from earn more to own more of the right things. That's the shift. This video will break down into 6 practical branches. Assets versus liabilities. Let's start with the rule everything else rests on: assets versus liabilities. If you get this wrong, nothing else in your financial life will make sense. Asset equals in, liability equals out. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money out. That's it. Not what your bank calls it, not what your accountant writes on a form, just the direction of cash flow. If it sends you money, it's an asset. If you have to feed it money, it's a liability. The middle-class trap. Most middle-class families get trapped because they buy expensive liabilities while telling themselves they're building assets. They stretch for a bigger house, newer cars, nicer toys, and each one comes with taxes, insurance, maintenance, and interest payments. Their income goes up, but their monthly obligations rise even faster. Dollar equals employee. Kiyosaki suggests you treat every dollar like a tiny employee. When you spend on liabilities, you fire that employee forever. When you direct dollars into real assets, rental property, dividend stocks, a business, you put those employees to work. Over time, a whole company of little money workers can cover your bills. Cash flow tells truth. If you want to know whether someone is truly wealthy, don't look at their house or car. Look at their cash flow. The poor have no assets, just income and expenses. The middle class is loaded with debt payments. The rich have streams of income that arrive whether they work or not. That's the model you want to move toward. Mini takeaway. Before buying anything significant, ask a simple question. Will this put money into my pocket or take it out? Escape the rat race. Once you understand assets and liabilities, Kiyosaki zooms out to show the larger pattern, the rat race. Earn, tax, spend, repeat. For most people, the pattern looks like this: get a job, earn money, pay taxes, increase your lifestyle, take on more debt, then repeat. Every raise just makes the wheel spin faster. You work harder, but you don't actually get closer to freedom. Fear and greed cycle. Two emotions keep this loop going. Fear pushes you to cling to a safe paycheck and avoid risks that could build assets. Greed shows up as lifestyle upgrades, new gadgets, vacations, status purchases. as soon as income rises. Together, fear and greed turn your career into a treadmill. The power of choice. Kiyosaki's key point is that every dollar is a vote. Each time money passes through your hands, you choose to move closer to being rich, middle class, or poor. Paying off a liability is one choice. Funding an asset is another. Doing nothing is also a choice. How can I afford it? One of the richest mindset shifts is replacing "I can't afford it" with "How can I afford it?" The first statement shuts your brain down. The question forces you to think in terms of opportunities, side income, creative deals, or delayed gratification. Mini takeaway: escaping the rat race isn't about grinding harder. It's about changing the decisions you make with each paycheck. 4 financial IQ pillars. If the rat race is the problem, financial intelligence is the way out. Kiyosaki breaks this into 4 pillars. Accounting. Follow cash flow. You don't need to be a CPA, but you must be able to read a basic income statement and balance sheet. That skill tells you where money truly comes from and where it actually goes. It lets you see on paper whether something is feeding you or draining you. Investing, strategies, and creativity. Investing isn't just picking a stock symbol. It's understanding how to turn money into more money through real estate deals, businesses, shares, or creative financing. The more strategies you know, the more options you have when opportunities appear. Markets, logic, and emotion. Markets move not only on numbers, but on human emotion, fear, greed, hype, panic. Financial IQ means you can see both, the logical value underneath and the emotional waves on top. That keeps you from chasing bubbles or selling in a panic. Law and tax edge. The rich play by a different rule book. Because they understand tax law and corporate structures, employees earn, get taxed, then spend what's left. Corporations earn, spend on legal business expenses, and pay tax on the remainder. Knowing how to use entities and legal protection is part of being financially smart. Mini takeaway: motivation isn't enough. Wealthy people back their mindset with concrete skills in numbers, investing, markets, and law. Mind your own business with the skills in place. Kiyosaki asks, where should you focus your effort? His answer: mind your own business, your asset column. Job is not your business. Your job pays the bills, but it's not your true business. Your real business is the collection of assets you slowly build on the side. You can be a great employee and still act like a business owner in how you handle your money. Pay yourself first. Pay yourself first means directing money into assets before you pay bills or spend on lifestyle. This creates pressure that forces you to think about more income, better deals, or cost cuts rather than dipping into savings. Recover capital fast. Kiyosaki loves deals where he gets his original money back quickly. Once your initial capital is recovered, the remaining asset is effectively free and can keep generating income with no principal at risk. That's how you gradually build a portfolio of zero-cost assets. Buy luxuries last. Instead of using credit to buy nice things, the rich let their assets pay for luxuries. First, build something that throws off cash. Then, when that cash flow is steady, you can let it buy the car or the vacation. The luxury becomes a reward for smart investing, not the cause of future stress. Mini takeaway: even with a normal job, you can live like an investor by funding assets first and letting those assets finance your lifestyle later. Work to learn. So what should you do if you don't have much money to invest yet? Kiyosaki's answer: use your career to build skills, not just income. The generalist advantage. People who understand sales, marketing, basic accounting, and operations can see opportunities everywhere. They know how value is created, promoted, delivered, and measured. That makes them far better at spotting and running good deals. The specialization trap. Highly specialized professionals, doctors, engineers, lawyers, often earn good money, but depend entirely on one job in one industry. If that job or industry changes, they're exposed. Without broader business skills, they struggle to turn their high income into lasting wealth. Invest in your mind. Your mind is your primary asset. Courses, books, seminars, mentors, these are investments, not expenses. When they expand your ability to earn and invest, the right insight at the right time can be worth far more than any single paycheck. Give to receive. Kiyosaki also highlights the power of teaching and generosity. Sharing what you know, helping others, and creating value tends to expand your network, your deal flow, and your opportunities. An abundance mindset is not just moral, it's practical. Many takeaway, the fastest way to grow financially is often to grow your skill set and your mindset before you try to grow your portfolio. Overcome barriers and act. Finally, even with the right ideas and skills, most people still get stuck. This last branch is all about psychology and action. Find your why first. Wealth building is hard enough that a shallow reason won't carry you through setbacks. You need a deep why, a mix of what you truly want, freedom, security, options, and what you refuse to accept, lifelong debt, dependence, stress. That emotional fuel keeps you moving. The 5 blockers and their cures. Kiyosaki identifies 5 main blockers that keep people poor, but he also gives the cures. Overcome the fear of losing money by adopting a Texas mindset, using failures as inspiration to win rather than reasons to quit. Beat cynicism, the Chicken Little voice that says the sky is always falling, by analyzing real facts and studying financial heroes you can model. Cure laziness disguised as busyness by asking yourself, what's in it for me? To spark a little healthy desire and make time for building assets. Replace bad habits by paying yourself first instead of everyone else, and defeat arrogance by admitting what you don't know and seeking expert advice instead of pretending you got it all figured out. Master R formula. Instead of chasing every new opportunity, pick one wealth-building formula, like small rental properties or a particular type of business, and master it. Once you understand it deeply and have results, you can add the next formula. Depth beats scattered dabbling. Motion beats analysis. You will never have perfect information. Great deals are discovered by looking, making offers, getting rejected, negotiating, and trying again. Small, calculated actions teach you more than endless theory. If you know the downside and can live with it, it's usually time to move. Mini takeaway. The real gap isn't between you and information. It's between what you know and what you're willing to do repeatedly, despite fear and imperfection. If you want to apply this in your own life, start small but start real. First, track your cash flow and label everything as asset or liability, based on whether it pays you or you pay it. Second, commit a fixed percentage of every paycheck to assets, even if the amount feels tiny. Third, choose one skill to develop this year, sales, negotiation, or basic accounting, and deliberately practice it. Finally, write down your why, the blocker that hits you hardest, and one tiny action you'll take this week anyway. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not about copying someone else's investments. It's about upgrading the way you think about money, work, and risk. When you see dollars as employees, your job as a funding source, And your mind is your main asset. You stop chasing paychecks and start building systems. Over time, those systems can give you something a job alone rarely can: genuine financial freedom and the ability to design your own life. If this breakdown helped, hit subscribe and share it with someone who needs a new money mindset. And if you want the full story, check the link below to grab the book.